Oh, headphones, that would help, wouldn't it? Playback. Right, can you hear me? Let me see if this website thing works now. Oh wow, that was loud.
Yeah, you were good.
Oh.
Let me try it again.
What? Try what?
I'm going to try and talk to you.
What? See if it comes up. Can you see what I'm looking at on the screen here? PC Gamer.
Yeah.
Can you see me if I move my... What the hell? If I move my face around, can you see that?
No.
No?
No.
That's stupid. You can't see that?
No.
You can see my face though, can't I?
Yes.
Weird. It's not actually moving.
Oh yeah, I can see you moving it.
Oh, thank God
It's
then.
just delayed.
Right, okay. Right, I'm gonna stop the stream and start again.
The chat didn't come up, did it?
Yeah. Yeah, it has come up. Hi. Oh, do you know what? I'm not going to stop the stream. I'll just start it off here now anyway. There's no point me trying to do the website or anything like that. I'll do that another day. But hi, everyone out there. Anyway, basically, I want to talk about is it worth buying a PC today or next month or 6 months, a year, whatever. I want to have a little discussion with you guys out there. And basically, from my own opinion of building 2 million computers a week and stuff like that, basically, I've been seeing a lot of things lately with prices, especially where I live in England, where you got Curry's PC World, Argos, you got Maplins, you got online stores like Overclockers, Novatech, who else is there? eBuyer, Scan. There's quite a few places and they've all got different prices. It's like when you're shopping, you know, I think it's in America, where they've got PC Part Picker. I don't know if it's in the UK, I can't even remember. But basically, when you go to PC Part Picker, you can pick loads of different products, and then say that you want you're a little bit of a buyer, you want to obviously a bargain hunter, sorry, and you want to go into different websites like Scan, Overclockers and Amazon, and you're picking out the parts. Some places are like, oh, we've got it in and we're the only ones that got it in, and say that it's a motherboard, and the motherboard's like 100 quid, but it's like 110 on Overclockers and 120 on Amazon, but you can get next day delivery on Amazon, but you can't get next day delivery on Overclockers, even though that's not true. But it's just the way. And then you've got to pay. Sometimes you've got to look out for if you're going to get free delivery or not free delivery, and what time it's going to be there. It's all a proper mission. But anyway, what I really want to talk about is it worth like actually building a PC now? So there is some truth to it. There is like yes and there is no. Now, people that have got money, yes. People that don't have money, no. People that know about computer components and parts? Not really, but it depends what parts you want. So it's very awkward. It's a weird, tricky one. But I want to answer them, so I want to try and answer the questions. Now, you obviously heard about RAM that's been going up in price. Now, it's awkward. If you've got DDR4 already, and you've got AMD Ryzen, or even if you've got Intel, you can still overclock your RAM. But when you overclock your RAM, it doesn't last as long as what it used to be. Well, what it's meant to last for, which is quite a long time. And it's very complicated. It's like some countries, RAM is not really affected. Other countries, especially in England, definitely, it's definitely affected. A bit like graphics cards, especially with the crypto currency and stuff like that. It's that was affected for a while. It's still going to be affected again when Bitcoin starts going up and people start being crazy and buying up all the graphics cards. Now, so if like a company, because there's people that complain and speculate. Now, if you were to buy mostly all the graphics cards like AMD and they're all at a cheap price, it means that it's harder for like us, the consumers, or the enthusiasts, bit my tongue, or other people that need a graphics card, say that their computer's broken down, they need a graphics card. One time they've bought, say, a GTX 1060, and it's cost like 200 and whatever pounds. Don't know what the price is, can't remember. But anyway, if it comes down to that, and then all of a sudden they've bought all these graphics cards out, like AMD and obviously GTX 1060s. It makes it very awkward for that other person to come along and want to buy another graphics card, considering it cost him 230 quid before. Now it's going to cost him 280. Some people don't mind, some people are none of the wiser, and it's really nice to be educated in what you're buying, because you could be buying the same product over and over again and the prices are always different. And it's just one of those ones. So it could be like motherboards, graphics cards, RAM, SSDs, NVMe, mechanical hard drives, cases, anything like that. It's all different prices in different places, and I do wonder, like, why is it always different prices? But I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is that people hunt around and bargain, and it's like you got to gloat about something. I got a graphics card, say a GTX 1080 Ti, and I got it for like 650, and other people paying like 7 or 750. Well, that means that it could definitely have better overclocking features on there, or it could be just a different third-party product on there that keeps the graphics card cooler. Now, this is where it just gets really, really messed up. So basically, if you've got like a nice breathable case, good for you. But then other people might not have that, and it might be they've got the best gear, but the computer components are heating up, which means they're getting not throttling, but they're getting lower speeds than what they would normally get, because if they had something that breathes cooler, keeps the VRMs and the chokes and the motherboard and the CPU and the RAM and everything kind of all nice and cool at the right temperature, it means you can work harder to keep it cooler. Now, it's just like every graphics card you can have like 10 GTX 1060s, but they're not all going to run the same. You can have 10 GTX 10 Ti's, 1080 Ti's, or 1080s, or 1070s, or 1070 Ti's, or AMDs, or anything like that. It's not going to run the same, especially with RAM. RAM is like when you've got proper super overclockers that enthusiasts, they look for the best materials that are in RAM. So they'll look for ones that can clock higher and that run faster, and they're more stable. It's the same in graphics cards as well. And it's like I've had a few people talk to me about Toshiba mechanical hard drive, how I got them read and write speeds. Maybe I was just lucky to get that sort of hard drive that ran faster than the normal hard drives that you normally get. They don't all run exactly the same. They all run differently. That's why you've got like scores when you're using benchmarks, and some people might have the exact same case, graphics card, power supply, everything all set up exactly the same, or maybe not the same, but we'll talk about that in a second. So say they all got it exactly the same. The motherboard might have, I don't know, not the motherboard, the CPU. It might not run as fast as their CPU, but it's exactly the same whole computer build and stuff. Or let's talk about like the case. So you got the whole computer infrastructure, so you got everything that's all exactly the same. But what it is that your case has got RGBs in it, and it's just basically looking nicer. And you got no RGBs in it, you got it for performance, but the RGB computer is doing better. Is that because he's got RGBs? No, it just means that his computer has got better silicone in it. Better silicone in the memory, in the CPU, the graphics card. That's the way it works. So it's just like when you're getting all these top people, they've always looking for the best silicone so they can literally get the best overclocks, and that's about it really. But what I think is, yeah, the RAM has definitely spiked up in price. It was cheaper a while back. I also spoke to Toshiba, I think in June, and they said that Nand Flash is basically just a shortage of it. And you can tell the difference that SSDs are meant to be coming down in price, but they're still quite expensive. Even though you can get like different versions of it, you can tell that the price is coming down. But then it's like, if you say NVMe, yeah, you can get that, and you can get it quite cheap and everything like that. But when it comes down to, well, not cheap, what I mean is like cheaper than when it first came out. Now, NVMe, you can check the benchmarks and actual speeds and stuff, and basically it's all to do with the speed. So if you've got better speed, so basically if you've got let me see, so you've got NVMe, so that's the most expensive at the moment out of SSDs and mechanical hard drives. But NVMe, you can get a cheaper version, and then it goes up in price. And when it's going up in price, that means that it's obviously going to be much faster for your read and writes if you care about that sort of thing, or you just basically just want to have the best. Now, here's another topic. Is it worth building the computer now of today? Yes and no. And the reason it is yes is because if you need a new computer and you need it to work, or you need it for work, then yes, it doesn't matter. You just need to get a computer. But if you just want to upgrade, it depends on what you want to upgrade. If you want to upgrade SSDs and RAM, then no. And if you want to upgrade like a whole computer, it's not really worth it, because once you upgrade your motherboard and you're putting in, well, I suppose there's half and half. It's a 50-50. If you've still got the old school DDR4, you can overclock the DDR4 so you can get a better spec. But it depends on the silicone and the RAM, which I keep saying. If you're lucky in silicone lottery and everything like that, that's what it means. It means that you can overclock that furthermore. But the whole point about a community, about building computers, is you've got a computer that you can actually push it further to what its means are from out the box, which is more fun than just buying a PC off the shelf. So when it comes to when it comes down to just buying all your computer components, it's really nice knowing a little bit about them. So is this going to be if I buy this RAM DDR4 and I buy it for a cheaper price, because if you're clued up like that and you know that you can get a slight overclock more, so say that you're going to go and get, you got DDR4 266 megahertz, but you can overclock it to something like to, I don't know, like near enough 3000 megahertz on one RAM stick. Just imagine the potential that you can do that to, and how much faster your CPU can run, especially with the AMD. Now, AMD is coming out next year, and Intel are being shook, and they basically rolled out two platforms, or two CPU SKUs, just like that. They weren't scared, but now they are scared, and it's good. It's a big wake-up call. But it's still quite a niche market, the computer market. People might not disagree with, well, they might disagree with me and might, is that right? They might disagree with me and they might not disagree with me, that's the one. Because if you think about it, I think all mobile phones that are coming out, because you got Galaxy Note 8, you got Galaxy S something, S9 or something, I can't remember. You got Apple 8, you got Apple X. You've got all of these things, even the Nokias as well. Nokia 4, 5, 6, 8. Like, there's loads of phones that are out. And you got to think how many people or how many companies have got phones that have got Nand Flash technology in it. It's also got, what you call it? It's got all the stuff that you need for a normal PC. And this is why we're seeing shortages. And the shortages definitely come directly from phones. That's what I think, and it's been happening for a long time now. To be into the marketing of business, it's all about, oh, do you know what, I'm going to put the price up to RAM because this person needs it, and we won't like bat an eyelid. But if you're in like a more of a country that can't afford it, it's definitely a bit of a butt kick. It's not what you want to hear. So this is why I'm saying, yes, it is. If you really need it for work to have a computer, you need to buy the components, or you just buy one off the shelf. But if you buy one off the shelf, no point looking at this channel, because I'm the one that kind of just puts computers together, put components together. It's like Lego, it's like cars. It's like if you enjoy cars and you like bolting on stuff to it to make it faster or make it more efficient. That's what it is like to be an enthusiast when it comes down to PCs. So it's just like, if you're going to do, it's weird, it's so weird. You've got a graphics card, and a graphics card is normally a gaming graphics card that you use to play games with, but can be from stupid prices all the way to really expensive prices. And then you've got work, like you've got when you're a video production or a colorist or something like that, and you need a graphics card. You can use a gaming graphics card, and it doesn't make sense when you're trying to talk to people that are in business. And you're going, look, I'm going to put a gaming graphics card in there, and you'll be able to get this renders. You'll get the nice renders from it. You'll get the CUDA cores from it. If I get a consumer CPU, but not a business CPU, like a one with like 16 cores or something like that, I don't know, it's really weird. But this is what I like about computers. You can just take different stuff off the shelf and put it all together. Now, I think the best sort of graphics card that's been out this year is the GTX 1050 Ti, without a doubt. I really think that's the best sort of buy. I've seen that at a really low price, and I've seen it at a high price. And I've seen it I've seen the GTX 1050, and the 1050 Ti is so much of a progression from the 1050 Ti, especially when you can overclock it just a little bit more. And it depends on who you're going with: MSI, Gigabyte, Zotac, Palette, I think said MSI. You know, there's so EVGA, like there's all different versions of them, slightly run in different clock speeds and memory clock speeds. But I think that was the best buy, and it can play really high resolution games at 1920 by 1080, but it just looks like you're not even playing 1920 by 1080. If you've got a brand new monitor, you'll soon notice the difference. You hardly see any tearing or anything like that in the game. And if you're pairing it up to a decent CPU or even a low-end CPU, you're okay. Other than the older SKUs of Intel, if we're talking about the new Intel Core CPUs like the 8000 series, those sort of CPUs, you're not going to have no problems whatsoever. They are they're robust CPUs. They're really quite cool. I don't know if they're robust enough with the architecture, because I'm sure that there's still a few problems with it. It seems a bit rushed, but it's still 6 cores, which should have been brought out years and years ago. I wanted 6 cores and 8 cores like 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it's like the marketeers want to like bleed you want to bleed you. They want to bleed you out of money, basically. They want to get every cent they can. Now, it is annoying when it comes down to that sort of stuff, and it is when you buy, say, the most high grade computer ever. So you can buy 8700 K, and you can buy like 32 gigabytes of memory running at like 4 gigabytes of bandwidth speed, and a really sick motherboard, probably one of the Asus or EVGA or MSI motherboards. and you can run with NVMe, or no, actually, well, yeah, let's say that. And then after like about, I don't know, 3 months, there'll be something else that comes out. If you wait another 6 months, it's just like every time it's like buying a car. You buy a car, money drops off it straight away when you take off the forecourt. But with PCs, it's just really annoying. Now you got to be, excuse me, you got to be one of these people that are quite clever. And there's so many different people in the computer world or the computer community. And I mean, in like, it could be that person's going to wait. But if you're going to wait, you're going to keep waiting. And when you're waiting so long that you've given up, no point. Or you've got them other people that buy, I want the latest technology. Or you've got that people will be like, you know what, I'm going to go with the really powerful CPU. I'm going to get a decent motherboard so I can overclock and have it for future reference. Those are the problems. But it's so nice that you've got all of these options. And even though people get really angry about cryptocurrency, about people buying all the graphics cards, it does mean that more people get involved means more different things, more engineering for better graphics cards and better processing units. It's the whole point about being into computers so much. You can see it through phones, how far they've evolved. I remember when I was speaking to a guy in the shop, I don't know, about 6 years ago probably, and he was saying you can't get 4K on a phone. I think he even said that you can't really get true 4K on the phone, or even like 2K on the phone, something stupid like that. And look, we've got 4K now, and look, we've got octa-core CPUs. Look, we've got 6 gigabytes of memory in a phone. It's like a phone is near enough able to do what PCs do, but in a smaller print. It's just crazy. It's like when I was always into phones, I was into phones just as much as computers. I used to buy a phone near enough every day because I wanted to see what the difference was, and it was a lot different back then. You can tell the difference of the different flagship phones straight away. Like now, you can buy a phone for like £99 to £150, and you wouldn't really be able to tell if it's a flagship phone. Well, you would be able to tell, but not as much as what it was back then. Like back then, you could tell I was frozen, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. Most phones that used to be flagships are now the bottom end flagships of other companies that are lower end to sell their product now. So like Samsung's got a range of phones. So has Apple, so has Nokia, so is LG. Razer now is coming into the play, and also Razer Moto phones, they're coming to play. But all of this memory, Nand Flash, everything is all going into the phones. It's just a smaller footprint that you can take in your pocket. And I've seen people do little bits of video editing. They use it for like the camera work. Dual bloody cameras are in it, and LEDs and it's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But one thing I want to talk about is cases. No one really talks about cases. People think that you can cheap out on cases. You can buy all the components and it will just be okay in a case. But that is not the case. The case is meant to keep everything like dust free inside there, and also nice air needs to be travelling in to keep everything cool. The cooler your computer is inside, the more efficient it will be, and it will last longer. But no one thinks about that. And it's so weird that out of everything, we're so backwards with the case, but you need a chassis to put everything in. It's so weird. But yeah, as I'm saying, is it worth building a computer of today? Yes and no. And is it worth waiting? Yes and no. We've got we've got the new Nvidia. I think that's Volta that's coming out as well. They don't really have any competition at all, so they can just sit back and rape your money. But even though they're raping money out of everyone, it doesn't really make no difference because we're still going to buy and the other people that are more clever and not going to buy, they'll probably go down the AMD route. Now, AMD has really been kicking ass, definitely. It's ridiculous how much they've done. I ain't really heard much about Threadripper as much. Apparently that is for more business work. But lately, everyone's house I go to that's not into computers that much, it's crazy. What's wrong with just buying an external phone case? Why do you ask that? Cases? I was talking about computer cases, but external cases for a phone. I don't know. I don't know about that one there. Caught me off guard there a bit. I was actually talking about PC cases, about keeping... Oh yeah, I suppose so. Nah. It's gone. I'm just talking about computer cases. So computer cases with all the components all inside and stuff like that. Oh, it's just one of those ones. Anyway, I don't know how many different countries have got all different prices for different things. It's just really weird. I don't know why. It's just weird. I get stuff given to me so I can build and test and everything like that. And then when I go and put it in the link in the description down below, this is where you can actually go and get this product. And some people go, oh, I can either get that cheaper somewhere else or whatever. But are you, say like, let's talk about it like this, right? So let's talk about Intel. You got Intel and then you got AMD. You can get, what's the cheapest? People will say AMD, right? So if we say AMD is cheaper and it's faster, is that not a better deal than the Intel? But the only thing is that which one lasts longer? Which one's more robust than the other? No one's talked about that. And all I could say is, after playing around with AMD, even though it came out, it was like, oh, this is new architecture. It's like, it's really fast. It's got this many cores. It's got that. Even though I had a few problems with it, but I had to work around those teething problems so that we could actually talk to you lot and say, oh, well, this is what the problem is. This is how you fix that problem, which is just good in the computer community. Got to say it right. And when it comes down to Intel just feels natural. You put it in and it works. But after seeing all the other CPUs that they brought out before, like the 7700K, that was a bit of a flop. All that, the 70 series, that was a flop. And the 2066, I think it is, that was a flop as well. I just thought there was irrelevant CPUs and motherboards that were there to rape you from your money. And you could basically just get a 7700K, or you could get 7740 something, I think 7740X or something like that. A lower end processor. And basically, you could just upgrade later. And I didn't see the point of that, because what would you do with the other CPU? Well, in the computer community, you would normally grab that CPU and sell it. But after everyone's slagging it off, saying it's just a 7700K with a more expensive motherboard, and all the lanes ain't working because it's not worth it, it didn't make any sense. So who's going to buy that? But yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. To be honest with you, I really like what I do with computers. I like to have the lowest end computers. I don't really like having the top end computers because it's more money, and no matter whether you got it for free or not, it just shows that if you didn't get it for free and you put in that position, it's like when I go to the shop. If I've seen something, because if I review something, I like to review something that makes sense. It's got to be good, and if it's good, then I'll let you know it's good, and I'll buy it with my own money. But if it's not good, I don't really want to like have it on my channel. But even if I do have it on my channel, at least I can tell you the flaws and the pros and cons about it. It's just like I want to start this little thing up where I'm going to go into shops and like Curry's and PC World, and I want to go in there and I want to talk about, like, say there's a keyboard. There could be a keyboard. It could be Logitech. It could be like £80 in the shop. Yeah, you got to pay overheads and all that sort of stuff and your staff, and it's open, it's convenient, and you can get it right now. Not all the time. Sometimes it's in another shop, but they can get it for you to the next day. But if you can do that, you can just go online. But then if you go online, then it's just like, oh, I've got to type in all this and do all of that or whatever. You can ring them up and do it over the phone like I do with overclockers sometimes. When I ring them up, and if I want a product, I can just go and get a product over the phone. They know who I am, they sort it out, they've got all my address and everything like that. And it's here the next day with a bit of Haribo. But yeah, it's just like on overclockers, it could be like, I don't know, £59. But there's a big markup in the shop, and people don't understand that. It would be nice if it was like £80 in a shop, in another shop, say like Argos or Curry's or Maplin's, whatever, and it was still the same price online, because I don't see much difference online at all. You can't physically touch the product. I would have thought it would have been a little bit more cheaper to go and get it in real life, as it costs more money to pay for overheads. But it doesn't work like that. It's like you can have a website, you can say that you got all this stuff, but you might not really have that stuff, but you can order it and then send it off and you make the markup on it. But the markup's smaller margin than what it is in real life. I like to see more shops that you could have in England where you can walk around, and you know, like when you're shopping for groceries or food, you can do that with computer components. Even mobile phones, you can walk into the shop, play around with it now, and then you could get like an experience, and you'd be like, I don't know if I want that phone or not, or whatever, and you can speak to someone. Why can't you do that with PCs? Why is there so many warehouses? Well, there's not so many warehouses. I think there's only about 5 that I know, maybe 6 in England that I know of, and obviously Amazon is quite big. But I would like that experience, and that would be great. I like to see prices come down. I like to see more people talking about what the difference is between like RAM and like, yeah, what's the difference between that price and that price, like Kingston, and then you've got Crucial, and then you've got Gelid, and then you've got who else have you got? You got Corsair. What's the difference? Corsair is up here, and all the other ones are kind of following in their footsteps. But what's the difference? Well, I know I've had Corsair for years, and Corsair's always been my strong suit. It's always never, to be honest with you, it's never failed. It's never failed on me. It's never failed on me. To be honest with you, I've had other memory fail, but I've never had Corsair fail on me. And that's probably why it's more expensive, but not always. Not always. More expensive is better. I've tried out some new ID calling AIOs and Be Quiets and Fractal Design and other companies, and I'm sort of getting the same like temperatures right through. I know it's not that much different with a copper base and the tubing and the little AIO reservoir and stuff like that. It's only so much it can call through its sort of radiator and everything like that, and it's just something that's convenient and easy. But try explaining to someone, oh look, I think you should get custom water cooling loops. How much is that, mate? Well, that's going to cost you about, well, you know what? Custom cooling, that's changed a little bit as well. I've seen EK start using nickel plated stuff, and not the copper stuff. And the copper stuff's obviously a lot more expensive, and that's even changed in the market. So that's pretty cool. So in a way, if you shop around and you really look around, you could get nice little deals. So sometimes, this is what I'm saying, it would be a good idea to get a computer if you really need it and you want it to be water cooled. If you're not that person that wants to be water cooled, then yeah, you can get good deals with that. There's no problems with AIO water cooling or CPU air cooling. The price is the CPU because it runs with the RAM shortages, so you're gonna have a problem with that, and you're gonna have a problem with the SSDs because the SSDs are a little bit more expensive. And then what else is quite expensive? Graphics cards. Graphics cards seem to be going up and down, up and down, up and down. You just can't keep up with it. But yeah, as I said before, is it a good time to build? Yes and no. Yes, if you need it for work. No, wait a little bit longer, but don't wait too long. And if you're that sort of person that just needs to buy it but knows it's wrong, I would still wait for see what Nvidia is going to bring out, and hopefully they don't slow their stuff down like Apple does. Anyway, I am done talking, and when I next get my stream up again with all of this stuff, I'm going to probably be answering questions a little bit more formal and stuff like that, and then I'll be able to go through web pages and stuff, what I've seen. But this one here, here's why DDR4 RAM prices have spiked. This is dated 2016, 20th of October. I actually saw quite a while, well, it must have been about 8 months back, that things weren't looking right, but I didn't think nothing of it. But yeah, it's always like, oh, should I really like want to get a PC, is it worth getting it? Wow. With me, I'm a very excited person when it comes down to getting anything. I normally just buy, and then I'm like, oh, why did I buy? I should just waited. But for people that have got brains, definitely wait a little bit longer. No point waiting for the RAM prices to go down, because I don't think that's going to go down for another year, at least. Another year. And I'm sure DDR5 is meant to be coming out soon as well, which that means that price is going to be even more expensive than DDR4, because it's still quite good and you can overclock with the Ryzen architecture. Then yeah, it's basically going to be still quite high price until DDR5 starts making more DDR5, and imagine DDR5 in actual CPUs, how fast that's going to be, and graphics cards as well. Wow. But anyway, yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to like it, share it, subscribe and all that sort of stuff. And obviously if you did like it, leave your comments down below and let me know if you like this sort of streaming stuff. Don't do this too often, but I thought I'd do it anyway. And it's 23:37, so it's nearly New Year's Eve in England, and other people who have obviously had your New Year's Eve already, congratulations and all that sort of stuff, and many returns and all that sort of stuff, and Happy New Year, and yeah, Happy New Year for the people in England. So see you soon, and thanks for watching.